Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet our listening audience, Mali students in particular. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Thursday evening Quranic presentation. And we're continuing on chapter 16, looking at verse 99. And we're looking at comments, particular by Ibn Arabi, along with other sources. And we make a comparative or contrasting analysis with the thinking of Imam W.D. Muhammad, in which the students will do as an assignment. So let us begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Innahu laysa lahu sultanun ala alladhina amanu. And this verse is continuing from previous verses. As we have mentioned in one of our presentations, each verse connects with the previous verse. Each chapter connects with the previous chapter, so forth and so on. So, innahu laysa lahu sultanun, that surely it is not for him, sultan, an authority. An authority is not for him, ala alladhina amanu. This is one of the words we're going to be looking at, the word authority. Sultan. We'll look at this idea of sultan. Upon those who amanu, who have faith. Wa ala rabbihim yatawakkaluna. And upon their Lord, yatawakkaluna, they trust. They rely upon, so forth and so on. Another word we're going to look at, which is tawakkul, is the subject of our comment on this verse. Sultan and yatawakkalun. However, there are three words here I want to bring to your attention when you're looking at this for reflection, because the students will write their reflections of this. The three words here, Sultan, three key words, amanu and yatawakkalun. You have to look at them in connection with each other. Authority, faith, and trust. So, as-salatatu, from the idea of sultan, the root letters is salaka, and we're given the internal noun, as-salatatu. As-salatatu is at-tamakkunu min al-qahri. At-tamakkunu min al-qahri is the capability of coercion, dominance, so forth and so on. The capability of coercion and dominance. Yatawakkalun, its root letters wakala, and it is defined by its internal noun, at-tawkilu. At-tawkilu. And that ta'tamida ala ghayrika. It is to depend or rely upon other than you. You depend upon other than you وَتَجْعَلَهُ, and you make it نَائِبًا عَنْكَ. You make it a substitute for you. This is tawkid, that you depend upon other than you, and you make it a substitute for you. قال تعالى, he says, the most high, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. Taking wakilan from derived from tawkid, or a derivative of tawkid. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا, and sufficient, we could say, in Allah as a wakil, tawkid, as someone you can rely upon other than you, and you can make him a substitute for you. He's going to explain, that is to say, اكتفي به أن يتولى أمرك, meaning be content. Be content, trust. Have trust. Be content in him, that he is, or he will be in charge of your affair. That he is in charge of your affair. Trust and be content with that. Or be content with him. Now looking at Ibn Arabi. Going to Ibn Arabi. We'll keep those definitions in mind as we continue. So he comments on إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. On the first part, he says, أَقَلُّ. Now, this إِنَّهُ, surely he is, in the previous verses, is the shaitan, Satan. This is the shaitan, Satan, continue from the previous verse. So, أَقَلُّ دَرَجَاتِهِ, so the deficiency of his degrees, al-yaqinu al-ilmi, is scientific certainty. Scientific certainty, which mahalluhu, its place is, let me correct my mistakes as I go with the marks. Is al-qalbu as-safi. Its place is the pure heart. Yes, he's deficient. He's deficient in terms of scientific certainty, which its place is the pure heart. The pure heart. وَلَا يَكْفِي هَذَا الْيَقِينَ فِي نَفِي سُلْطَانِهِ. That's to say, وَلَا يَكْفِي, it is not sufficient. هَذَا الْيَقِينُ, this certainty, which we're speaking of, scientific certainty, this certainty is not sufficient in فِي نَفِي سُلْطَانِهِ, in the rejection of, or the denial of his authority, his sultan, authority, having dominance over you. Having scientific certainty is not enough. having this knowledge is not enough. Except when إذا كان مقرونا, except when it is connected, when it is مقرونا, it is connected بشهود الأفعال, connected with the witnessing of actions. Knowledge, this knowledge, scientific certainty, this scientific knowledge, having it is not enough without action, without witnessing action. Action that is manifested of that knowledge. That doesn't have dominance over you. الذي which هو مقام توكل, which it is the station of reliance, the station of yatawakkalun. In order to have, being in this station, we could say, if we use Quran, go to Quran, not only requires faith, but it will also give you authority of your own self, within yourself, this authority. Not the authority of Satan. But you cannot have this kind of authority, even with the scientific knowledge you have, without the action of yatawakkalun, without that action, the action of trust, giving trust. كما قال تعالى, as he said, the Most High, as the Most High has said, وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. This is the verse, part of the verse. وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. وَالْفَنَاءُ فِي الْأَفْعَالِ. Commenting on this in the parentheses now. So when you all go back to look at this, he's talking about what's in the parentheses. Al-fana'u fil af'ali la yumkinu ma'al al-baqi. Baqi. Sifati an-nafsi. These two words, al-fana', I have them underlined. These two underlined. Al-fana' and al-baqa, and baqa. Fana and al-baqa. These two words, Ibn Arabi, I would say the scholars who studies and have written from the writings, have translated from the writings of Ibn Arabi, or we could say Ibn Arabi, these two concepts he mentions a lot from his writings. Without going, I don't want to say too much in detail. Al-fana'u is annihilation. Annihilation in actions. Obliteration in actions. Doing away with certain actions. لا يمكن مع البقاء صفات النفس. Which we would say, with the remaining, Bakai is that which remains. This is annihilating, and this is the remains, what remains after annihilation. So when we talk about annihilations and actions, cannot occur. It's not possible with certain remains of the characteristics of the soul. Yes. And this we're talking about Yatawakalun. So this annihilation of actions is not possible with the remains of certain characteristics of the soul. Is because because the remaining of its characteristics, of those characteristics, Yastari, it summons or invokes Af'alahab, its actions, the actions of the soul. Now, let me explain here. This is the main part I want to go over. We want to get. This station, when we talk about Maka'u Tawakul, this station, to reach this station, to be elevated to this station, you cannot be elevated. The only way I would say to be elevated to this station, that you have to eliminate. You have to get rid of certain actions, let's say, and to begin to ascend. So here, if you're on this level, there's certain characteristics, certain things that have influenced the soul, and it's reflected in your actions. One thing I want to say, when we talk about the nafs, and we hear people a lot, they talk about the nafs, to subdue the nafs, to annihilate the nafs, so forth and so on. You can't annihilate the total self. I'm going to make this statement without elaborating because of the time and what I want to present and what I want the students to do. And this is a place of questions. You can't annihilate the total self. But there's a part of the self, there's something that has influenced the self that causes you to do certain actions. It's reflected in your actions. And we all have to agree that no one has control of their soul or control of their psyche, total control of their psyche in terms of what influences it and how it's being influenced. You have to admit to yourself that being in a certain environment, you have been influenced by certain things in that environment that forms and shapes your character. Not the character that Allah gives you originally, but the environment itself that you are placed in. If nothing influences you from the true original self that you're born in, then your actions will have the tendency to always be good actions. And Satan would never have an authority over you. But because the human being is made of clay, figuratively speaking, then he's easily influenced, as we have said in previous presentations. Easily influenced. And we do not always have direct control over what influences us. The best we can do is try to have a greater choice of our environment. That our environment will have an effect upon us that's conducive to the original self as we develop and grow and become more enlightened. So because of that, we start out on this level with influences. and certain character influences that we have of the soul. This is society and nafs. To evolve to this next level, there are certain acts that we have to annihilate. We have to get rid of. We don't do those acts anymore in order for you to ascend to a higher state, to take on a higher station or state. These become states. Your actions now is higher, so your state of mind, your state of the soul, your state of condition of the soul is at a higher level, so that certain things on this level you do not do anymore because it becomes beneath you in terms of your station of life. And then there's a higher station. To evolve to a higher station, it requires the finale of certain actions. Because what remains in the soul, we're saying, whatever remains in the soul may prevent you from attaining a higher station. And when you reach this station, that means not only do you not do acts here, you certainly do not do acts in this station of life. We've all been there. Many of us, we come into religion, and once we come into religion, we begin to have a relationship with God. And there are certain immoral activities, certain influences we may have been involved in. It may have influenced us, certain actions we may have been doing, but we give it up. And our life, we begin to ascend, elevate in our life, in our being. The highest station here, when we're talking about scientific certainty, having scientific certainty, the highest station becomes the station of tawakkul. When your trust is only with Allah. Yes. Come back to this question of the nafs. Come back to this question, trusting in God. Yes. Do we trust each other? Yes. That's the question. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to elaborate here. I'm trying to give you the idea here now of what Ibn Arabi is saying. So we continue. It's saying, so any type of characteristic that remains with you, it may allow you to get to this station, but it may not allow you to evolve to a higher station in life. So you have to continue. You continually fanatic until that's influencing you. You have eliminated all of the influences that brings you back, let's say, to your original nature, your original self. And at that point, your trust is in Allah. And the only way to rise above the influences in your environment is to trust in Allah. Yes. We'll say a little more. وَلِهَذَا قِيلَ, and to this it is said, لَا يُمْكِنُ إِفَاءُ, it is not possible, إِفَاءُ الْحَقِّ, the fulfillment of the true, the correct, the true maqamin. We're talking about these stages. You cannot reach the true state or station in life, and it's along with its tahseed, its critical revision, its critical rectification. You cannot reach this, fulfill this And along with its fortification, that you reach this level in truth, that you don't fall back to the previous level. Except after autarky. Except after autarky, ascending ila ma fawqahu, ascending to what's above it. You cannot be sound and fortified in reality in this high station of life without ascending from this level up. You have to ascend without ascending to it, what's above it. Autarky, so this ascension ila maqami sifati, to the station of sifat, the highest station of characterization, and the highest station for the human character in terms of characterizing the soul, or the soul being characterized, is by those attributes, those divine attributes that we share with Allah. That's the highest station in life. And it completes the fanatical af'al. It completes the highest station, completes the elimination or the annihilation of actions. And at that point, at tawakkul, the trust in Allah becomes sound. We have a discussion on al-fana, al-baqa, and an-nafs in the comments that we have made. There's two sides to the creation and the development of the human being. We're only looking at one side. We're looking at the spiritual side. And look the spiritual side of tawakkul. I didn't deal with the other side. In conclusion, we say we need something that will address the whole of our lives and give directions to and bring the whole of our lives under one authority. That accounts for success. We have to acknowledge Allah as the uppermost authority in our lives, as the deciding authority. In God we trust. I thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.